Let me talk to you for a minute here this morning about the promises of God. You know, it is often the promises of God that get me in trouble in my spiritual journey. And it is the promises of God that get me through. And let me explain what I mean. First, the promises of God often get me in trouble because I'm holding on to those promises. I believe God for what he says, and he makes some really big and large promises, both sometimes to us individually and also in his word. He makes really big promises. And I believe this stuff, and I hold on to it, and I pray and fast and fight for it, and then it is delayed. It doesn't come true like I thought it was going to come true when I thought it was going to happen the way I thought it was going to happen. And so I get really disappointed sometimes in my relationship with God because of these promises. But it is often the promises of God that get me through. Why? Well, because I hold on to those promises and they give me hope, first of all. But second of all, holding on to the promises during the waiting period often shapes me to become the man I need to be to receive the promise I'm holding on for. I think about this in Psalm 105. This is what the psalmist writes. He's talking about Joseph, and he said, he sent a man before them, Joseph, who was sold as a slave. They hurt his feet with fetters. He was laid in irons until the time that his word came to pass. The word of the Lord tested him. This is an interesting concept. He says, until the word of the Lord, the promise that God had given him came to pass, it was the word of the Lord that actually tested him. See, he was holding on to the promise, but God wasn't delivering the way he thought, when he thought. Remember, he had these dreams when he was young and as a teenager. And now all of a sudden, the dreams about him becoming a ruler, but he gets thrown into slavery. And then he gets falsely accused and imprisoned. And so he's got more than a decade of suffering between the time God gave him the dream and by the time God delivers on the dream and he's moved into rulership. But the whole time he is holding on to the promise of God, and that's giving him hope to get through the suffering. And as he's holding on to the promise of God, the suffering is shaping him to become the man he needs to become to receive the promise that the Lord has given him. So that's the way it works. We're holding on to the word the Lord gave us until it comes to pass. And the word of the Lord is testing us and shaping us to become the people we need to become. I found this true many, many times in my life. To be honest, I don't like the process that much, but it's really important. It's the shaping hand of God. Listen, if you're hanging on to a promise that's a little slow in coming these days, don't forget this. It's really important. Cooperate with what God is doing in your inner being, and may it shape you to become the person you need to be so you can receive the promise that the Lord has sent for you.